We're here today because we have filed charges against the state of New York. We have filed charges against Kathy Hochul. We have filed charges against Letitia James and Mark Schroeder, who is with DMV.
Welcome to another episode of the Be Wise Podcast. I am your host, Chris Wright, where we discuss entertainment, politics, social media, and whatever else is on my brain. All right. We have so much to talk about today. We are still in the first 100 days of the golden age, the Trump presidency. And so that's why today we're going to talk about another phase of his initiatives. And one is deportation, getting a lot of news. So much is going on with that. But I would be remiss if I didn't start off with the story of the week, which is the Super Bowl halftime show, which has gotten more reaction than the actual game because there was just so much, wokeness in it and hating America and black this, black that. And that always gets a lot of attention. It gets a lot of clicks on social media. And, with all that being said, this is a very hard show for me. Because whenever I criticize anything that's Black people, the pushback that I get on social media is you're an Uncle Tom. Even though Uncle Tom was a hero in Uncle Tom's Cabin, but that's not how it's directed at me. So that is going to be part of my discussion on the halftime show, and I'll just have to grin and bear it. But even more important than that, we're going to start off with something I'm going to call the igniter. And if you ever watch the Jason Whitlock show, he calls his the fire starter. Well, I couldn't steal that. But basically, it's just a way to start the show, to get your brain, engaged and going. And it's just something that I wanted to talk about that's kind of near and dear to me, because I want to explain myself a little bit. And why I think the way I think, to give you an idea of my worldview. So here's my igniter. I have so much of a problem with all the woke revolution, the fake woke protest by people from my race and then other minorities. America, we're in a good time now. We are not the 60s. We are not in the 50s. We're not in the Jim Crow era. We are not in slavery. And I would think we've even gotten past systemic or institutional racism. I think we are in a very, very good place where everybody just want to be left alone, live their lives, take care of their families, be good neighbors, be charitable, go to church or wherever you worship, and just not be involved and bothered by all of this mess. So I was born during the civil rights movement. I know I look young, I'm beautiful, no wrinkles in my skin. I got some, gray whiskers here and there, thanks to Just for Men hair color. I do put a little color in my beard because my beard actually turns out all white if I just let it grow. My wife likes it, but she's the only one. But I was born during the civil rights era. I was actually involved in school busing. I was actually bused to a school in a all-white neighborhood. I was going to say predominantly white, but it was literally all white. It was like a bed sheet. And I was met with violence, neighborhood kids throwing rocks at us, being chased to the subway train or the bus, having to be escorted by security to our bus stop, called the N-word and every other derogatory racial slur that you can imagine. I grew up in the ghetto. So why am I telling you all this? Because I lived during a period of real racism, like overt, in your face, out there racism. And what bothers me today is that we have evolved as a country. We've evolved as people. And while there's still bigotry in America, there's very little racism. You know the difference. Yes, people are bigots. Not everyone is going to, play nice in the sandbox. People are going to say, spit out racial epithets and be like even Kanye West with his swastika t-shirt. I mean, there's always going to be bigotry in America because there are mean people. But all these protests and all this revolution by people who have an opportunity to do whatever they want. America truly is the land of opportunity, and everybody has equal footing. If you want to talk about the 1% of, multi-billionaires, I'm not talking about them and their families and their downline and their children. I'm talking about my neighbor and your neighbor and their kids and their kids. And how do I know I'm talking to you? Because billionaires aren't watching this YouTube video. So I'm talking to common, everyday folks. We talk about inclusion and equity. We are right now all on equal planes. And if you make $1 million, or if you have $1 million in your savings and I don't, that's due to my personal choices. I didn't make the right financial moves to put $1 million in a bank account. If you've saved your money and you've been frugal and you did all the right things, you're not special. You don't have anything over me. You might have had better parenting. Maybe they told you how to do this or how to do that. Maybe you had a good coach or a counselor or a mentor, someone who helped you financially. But the point is, I have the same opportunity as you to be a millionaire. Would you disagree on it? There's no way you can. So as we talk about this Super Bowl halftime show and people basically shitting all over America and talking about how they're victims and oppressed and giving subliminal messages in their music about how, the country, the government, they're against us. Well, if the government's against us, that means they would be against all of us, like every person, middle class, has not having nothing to do with color. So because I've been through real racism, because I've been through real times of hardship and just trying to figure it all out, I just can't buy into this new era of wokeness and protest. I can't do it. People try and get me to do it. Man, people of my own race, my people, I've been banned from the cookout. I can't go because as soon as you bring up that madness, I'm going to shut it down. I'm shutting it down. I can't do it. So that's my igniter. Wanted to give you a little bit of me, who I am, what I'm about. And yeah, there you have it. So let's talk about the Super Bowl halftime. So during the George Floyd era, you remember that, right? George Floyd, COVID, all that stuff. It was a weird time in America, very weird time. And a lot happened during George Floyd, or a lot of things happened as a result of George Floyd. Well, one of the things was Jay-Z became very popular for sitting at the table with Roger Goodell. I thought I thought we were oppressed. I thought we were victims of racism, but yet a black man gets to sit down next to one of the most powerful men in sports and talk about how he wants to commandeer the halftime show. Wow. We are in a bad place in America. But also during COVID, not only did we have Jay-Z sitting down with Roger Goodell, that's when, DEI all came into effect, and boo, America and race relations took a precipitous drop. But let's take a look at this video with Jay-Z. I'm sorry, it's the news that broke about Jay-Z.
Some big news that involves some big names. one of which is Roger Goodell in the NFL, the other of which, Sean Carter, better known as Jay-Z. The NFL has announced a partnership with Roc Nation and Jay-Z to boost their efforts around social injustice. Roc Nation will advise the selection of artists for NFL tentpole events like the Super Bowl, as well play a key role in the production and promotion of new music, and help them with some of their initiatives involving social injustice in the USA. Jalen, when I saw this, I said this is a great move by the NFL, and I also said this seems to me to be a direct reaction to some of the negative publicity they've received around the handling of the Colin Kaepernick situation.
So, so we had George Floyd, we had Colin Kaepernick, we had DEI, we just all these things that helped. Some people are going to tell you, no, it made America more aware of the racial divide. It made America more aware of the race problems in the country. No. All you did was basically, like we spent the last 50 years putting out that fire, and now there's just like embers. Like all we did. What is that? Oh, that's outside. I'm sorry. I heard a noise. So there's like embers burning. All we did was throw gasoline on it, and it went. Whoosh. It went. Whoosh. It blew up again. So I thought America was heading in a good direction, and then that happened.
Big news.
So I don't know where are we going to go with this, and what are we going to do? So anyway, as a result of Jay-Z taking over the halftime show, now we have what I would call a Kendrick Lamar problem. The halftime show went from Monday morning, us talking about, did you see her dress, or her voice was horrible, or the choreography was not good, and Bruno Mars was so good, or this person was. We talked about the music. We talked about the artist. This Monday morning, everyone got up and talked about the message. Was it good? Was it bad? It was for the culture. It was for Black people. White people won't understand it. And actually, when I looked at my social media, I actually saw more white support for the halftime show than I imagined I would. I thought it was going to be a lot of white people complaining that they didn't like it, and a lot of Black people defending it. And then people like me were going to jump out of the fight and go, I'm not saying nothing. I'm not saying a damn thing. So here was Kendrick Lamar. If you didn't see it, great. This is just a snippet, and then we're going to talk about it. That was Kendrick Lamar. If you don't know who it is, he's a rapper, West Coast, California, discovered, produced by Dr. Dre. I don't know, he's a rapper. So the biggest thing, the reason he's on that show is he had a really good year. He had a really good 2024. He got into this beef with Drake, Drake, the recording artist, rapper, singer. And he made that song called Not Like Us. And it kind of it was very, very popular. All right. But not overly popular where middle America or the average middle class white family in suburbia may recognize it. Their kids may, but mom and pop probably wouldn't know what that is. Anyway, so after that was over, there was a lot more to the halftime show. Samuel L. Jackson was involved in it. There was this whole lot of symbolism about America and oppression and victimhood and how poorly Blacks were treated, mass incarceration. So Samuel L. Jackson also jumped on there, and he started talking about he's Uncle Sam, kind of being the Django Unchained character. It was a lot of junk. It was just a lot of junk. I didn't buy it. I thought it was anti-American. I thought it was pro-victim. I thought it was pro-oppression. I thought it was just against everything I believe in that we talked about in the igniter. And I just didn't buy it. And then so many people were out there talking about, oh, but you got to understand the message. Look, I watched the Super Bowl for entertainment. And I watched the Super Bowl halftime show to decompress, because you probably had 6 beers by then and 15 wings. You stuffed a couple of slices of pizza, and you just want to watch a good halftime show. When there's some good singing, some dancing, you want to be entertained. Your brain is not totally equipped at that point to take on a subliminal, deep, I don't know, message or some hidden code. You don't get drunk and watch football, to read a Dan Brown book, so to speak. That's not the time to be, looking at Einstein theory of relativity. Anyway, it had mixed reactions. And I want to talk about the fact that that whole group of people on that stage, every single one of them, every dancer, including the 2 singers, the rappers, everybody was Black. Every single person on that stage was Black. Hey, Chris, what's the problem with that? The problem is the Army of Diversity and Inclusion didn't include any other color. Oh my God. How weird is that? I thought we wanted diversity and inclusion. I guess not. I want you to take a look at something. I'm going to let you know when halftime shows were fun. Like, take a look at this.
That ass shaking thing, you singing some
By the way, did you notice the different dancers? There's brown people, there's white people, there's Black people. Everybody's involved in this festival, this party, this celebration. No one's complaining about the weather. No one's complaining about the climate of America. So you remember that's when halftime shows were fun, before Rock Nation came along. You remember this one? Coldplay. He's white, right? Oh. Oh, look, Beyonce making an appearance. That's the same Coldplay. Okay. That was Coldplay, Bruno Mars, and Beyonce. All types of dancers and participation and inclusion and diversity. I'm going to, one sec, a little bit more of this. All right, I'm gonna turn Beyonce off before y'all kill me. I know a lot of y'all don't like Beyonce. Anyway, talk about diversity and inclusion, right? Do you know that since Rock Nation took over, and I got my notes here, do you know since Rock Nation took over the Super Bowl halftime show, this has been the lineup. Year 1, Shakira and J-Lo. Year 2, The Weeknd. Year 3, Dr. Dre with Snoop Dogg, Mary J. Blige, Kendrick Lamar, 50 Cent, Anderson .Paak, and Eminem. Year 3, Rihanna. Year 4, Usher, Alicia Keys, will.i.am, Lil Jon, Jermaine Dupri, and Ludacris. This year, Kendrick Lamar and SZA with Samuel L. Jackson. The only white person in all 5 years was Eminem. And he's woke as a joke. And I love Eminem. I don't like his politics. But my point is, the party of diversity and inclusion, they don't really believe in it. In that group, there's no, and by the way, pop radio has had a ton of white artists. Olivia Rodrigo, Lady Gaga, Billie Eilish, Benjamin Boone, Post Malone, Morgan Wallen. You mean to tell me of all these superstar white people, they couldn't have been sprinkled in and included in the halftime show? So miss me with all the diversity and inclusion. You really don't believe in it, because if you believed in it, then you would have had a little bit of that going on. So let's talk about the reaction. So we had 2 types of reaction to this halftime show. All right. And some were on my side and some was on the other side. But Touré. So Touré is a journalist. He's usually invited on TV shows for whenever there's a Black discussion, particularly in entertainment, singers, rappers, actors, whatever. He's kind of like your Hollywood reporter for Black people. So this was his message. This is his reaction to the halftime show.
It's wild that Kendrick Lamar gave us an Uncle Sam who's an Uncle Tom. For sure, that halftime Uncle Sam is a spiritual descendant of Steven from Django. They're both Negroes whose job is to keep other Negroes in line. They tell Black people what the whites want them to hear. I mean, Jackson's Uncle Sam tells him to play the game, as in to play along, to get along, to mollify or assimilate. He's out there perpetuating white supremacy like it's his job. He actually scolds Kendrick for bringing out his friends. It's a cultural cheat code to bring out your homeboys? Yeah, because the more Black people you put on the stage, the easier it is to entertain. This Uncle Sam is like the conscience of white America, telling Kendrick to reject his Negroid tendencies and be nice and calm. Be non-threatening. I bet Candace Owens thought Uncle Sam / Uncle Tom was the hero of the piece. He is most assuredly not, and every Black person deals with this conflict with white supremacy that Kendrick was dealing with it. And what he showed you was himself dealing with this conflict on the highest professional stage and winning. Kendrick rejects the calls to be nice and calm and docile. The voice of selling out is right there. And Kendrick refuses to sell out.
Did you get all that? You see what I have to go through? Do you guys feel for me? Like, if you feel for me, touch the screen and send some love. Just like, we feel you, Chris. This is what I have to deal with. These are the fights I get into. These are the arguments. I've lost friends over this crap. I've lost people who used to acquaint with me, like used to socialize with me on a daily basis. Now they think I'm crazy. Like, I don't know about you, man. You carrying the white man's water. I'm saying, no, you're the one that screamed for equality. You are the one that screamed for equity. So now I'm trying to tell you, this is how you get it. You don't get it by pissing off a race of people and telling them you suck, in so many words. You suck, because that becomes Black supremacy. You didn't like white supremacy, but you want to practice Black supremacy. No, man, what's good for the goose is also good for the gander. No, it's not how it goes. This was Jason Whitlock's reaction to the Super Bowl halftime show.
And the halftime show is the most confusing, boring, deceptively angry thing we've ever seen. And people, 90% of the audience has no idea what Kendrick Lamar is saying, doing. They don't know his music. They don't know the songs. They can't. If you rewatch this halftime show and just think about halftime shows in the past, the reason you put a Michael Jackson out there, the reason you put a Janet Jackson, a Justin Timberlake, they have so many crossover, major songs that when they start to play them, the audience goes, "Oh, I remember that song." And they start screaming and clapping and like, "Oh, this takes me back. Oh, I can't wait for them to do 30, 45 seconds of that song." And so even when they had Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre and 50 Cent and Mary J. Blige out there, their catalog of music, so pervasive, so many classic songs that, right or wrong, everybody has partied to at some point.
Yeah, so but that's the point I was making, that there's so many artists that are more well known than Kendrick Lamar that you just let basically Jay-Z commandeer the halftime show and go, "Hey, this is the artist we want to put at the halftime show this year, Roger Goodell. You okay with that? Who is it? Kendrick Lamar. Who's that? Don't worry about it. We're good." Is he the guy that sings that song about Drake, not like them or not like us or something? Yeah, that's the guy. He's going to do a halftime show. You got the biggest sports platform in the United States, and you just let some rapper, Jay-Z, some mogul, tell you who's going to be at halftime. You don't even push back. You don't even push back. But I guess you're also the clown, Roger, that when they said to put terms like end racism in the end zones, that's cool. That's cool. You're also the idiot when they told you to blackball Colin Kaepernick from the NFL. You was like, yeah, that's fine. Then you had another group saying, bring him back. And you said, yeah, let's give him a tryout. Like, you are just pulled in so many directions. You don't have any backbone. Zero backbone. And this is why I don't like you, Mr. Goodell. So here's the second piece about how I thought the halftime show was. Oh, one thing I do want to mention, by the way, if you don't know about the Kendrick Lamar Drake beef, at the end of the day, once again, it comes down to color. See, Drake is a bigger artist. Drake has billions of streams. He always leads categories like most Spotify streams, most Apple Music streams, largest amount of concert ticket sales. He's more global. Like last weekend, he just performed 3 nights in Australia. He did like Perth, Melbourne, one other place. He's a bigger artist. He has more feature appearances than Kendrick Lamar, but they got into this little rap battle. And it really came down to, at the end of the day, that Drake is a mixed race kid with a white mother from Canada. Kendrick Lamar is an American from Compton, California, LA. So a lot of black people sided with Kendrick. You see how racism plays a little part of that? And then people start saying things like, well, Drake's not really black. Drake's not really part of the culture. Drake doesn't know the culture. He doesn't understand the culture. But as soon as in America, if you have any mixed race kid, immediately people say he's black. He's part of the culture. twist his hair up or whatever, wear dreadlocks, wear braids, cornrows, light skin. Barack Obama was a black president. Kamala Harris was a black presidential candidate. But then he said Drake's not black. See how confusing it all is? Touch the screen if you feel the pain that I have to go through on a daily basis. Touch the screen. Give me a hallelujah. Because this is what I deal with. Also, what I wanted you to know is that when you watch that halftime show, and I recommend you go ahead and watch it, so after this, you can get a feel for what I'm talking about. Towards the end of the song of Not Like Us, Serena Williams was dancing on the stage. She was doing something called a crip walk, glorifying gang behavior, the Crips and the Bloods. That little dance she was doing is called the crip walk. Ice Cube does it when he's on stage. Gangsters all over LA do it. Some of the Latino gangs in LA do it. A crip walk. Now, Serena's sister, her older sister, was shot and killed in a drive-by shooting by Crips. I don't think I would be doing their dance. But you know why she was doing it? Because she used to date Drake, and Drake is anti-Kendrick, and blah, blah, blah. It's just this whole convoluted cycle, this circle of mess, ghetto fabulous mess that they have introduced you to at a Super Bowl halftime show. Like, you know what? America, if you're not paying attention, we're going to bring it to you like Pinocchio, like a Disney story. And hopefully you get it. I just wanted to add that. Jason Whitlock, please.
And so they put this angry man and this angry song beef front and center. And what Roger Goodell, through idiocy and through relying on the wrong people to help him, Troy Vincent and these other DEI woke folks that are within the NFL, they're counting on Roger Goodell being an idiot. And Roger Goodell is playing that role very well. Or maybe this is what NFL ownership wants. Maybe there's so much money on taking a dump on America and traditional sports fans. People didn't get it. And so they intended for you to be asleep. They intended for you to be just as dumb as Roger Goodell. And or maybe Roger Goodell's smart. I'm telling you, there's so much money in hating America that perhaps the NFL gave people exactly what they wanted.
He's right. He's right. You dump on America today, you are going to get a lot of good reaction. You're going to make some money because it seems profitable. I don't know. But that's not going to last long because in the golden age, guys, the more we speak up, me, you, fans who like conservatism, fans who are anti-woke, fans who are like, aren't falling for it anymore, and we're going to speak out against it. Don't worry about it. You will be profitable. You know, and that's just what's going on. The table's going to turn, but it was very profitable, particularly in the George Floyd era where you could, you know, be woke and you're probably going to make some money. So, you know that we all love The View, right? We love Whoopi Goldberg and her team. I heard, I don't know how true this is, but I heard that Joy Behar got from the show. But when it came on, I saw her face, and the only reason I watched The View is so I have ammunition for this show, because I think they are a microcosm of woke America. Like if an alien was to come to Earth and say, what's woke? You could show them The View, a video. They go, I get it. I see. So that's why I use them in a lot of my videos. Anyway, we're going to watch a couple of clips because they were just crazy. Here's Anna Navarro.
Listen, I think today Donald Trump is going to sign an executive order banning black people from halftime. Because You remember last week we were talking about whether the NFL was capitulating to Trump by removing the term "end racism" from the end zone. Yeah. Boy, did they not capitulate to Trump. When I saw Samuel L. Jackson dressed as a black Uncle Sam introducing Kendrick Lamar, who then had like an entire formation of all black people making a U.S. flag. Listen, this much I know. All the black people on my feed were like, ooh, this is blackity black black. And
Okay, let's be honest. How many black people are you around? You're a millionaire journalist / CNN person / The View. I'm sure at your Super Bowl party, you didn't have like this whole group of black people or blackity black people. That's insulting in itself. This Super Bowl was blackity black. Come on, stop it.
And all the racists who somehow get in, man, were they hopping mad. So if the racists are mad, I am happy as a clam.
No, racists weren't mad at the halftime show. It sucked. It was boring. That's about the extent of it. It was boring. Of course, our favorite is Sunny Hostin. She had her words. It pains me to even show this video because I'm like, I get mad. I get incensed every time she talks.
Subtle jacket. My subtle jacket. I agree with Anna. I mean, with all these attacks on diversity, all these attacks on African Americans, it was so nice to see black excellence and joy in front of the sitting president who decided for the first time to go to the Super Bowl.
Let me refute that. Black excellence is science, technology, mathematics, STEM. Bouncing around on the stage, and I love hip hop. Come on, I listen to that music a lot. I listen to it less because I'm just not down with a lot of the messaging. But black excellence is not rapping. Poetry is great. Being able to formulate words to make rhymes, it's an amazing. I used to try it when I was younger, so I don't want to discount that. But I think black excellence is black people with master's degrees, politicians, doctorates, PhDs, pilots. Tuskegee Airmen was black excellence. Black excellence is teachers, professors, people who are doing good in the community, who are building things, architects. But don't what's the word? Don't pee on me and tell me it's raining because I saw dancers and singers. Okay, maybe the beginning, the choir, maybe the John Batiste who was doing the national anthem. Black excellence, musicians actually doing something. But don't all the black excellence? No,
New Orleans.
I don't think you're ever going back.
I don't think it's going back. New Orleans is, of course, a predominantly black city, very close to my heart, 55% black. Then you have Kendrick Lamar.
Sorry, I keep stopping. New Orleans, 55% black with one of the highest murder rates in America. Love New Orleans for a vacation spot. We had the bombing on Bourbon Street, but other than that, a lot of the tourists that go to New Orleans, because they stay in the French Quarter, they don't know about all the crime that takes place in New Orleans. So, 55% black is great. Being the highest crime rate, having one of the highest crime rates in the country, higher murder rates, not so great. Let's do the math.
A lot of people said they didn't understand his performance. Guys, he's an award-winning, a Pulitzer Prize-winning musician and poet. Okay, so it was a many-layered performance. You've got Serena Williams crip walking. What I also really enjoyed about Kendrick's performance is it was.
You see how dishonest we are? You got Serena Williams crip walking. Is that so? I just hope you're giving me that virtual embrace. You got Sunny Hostin on the show, and she won't say, I really had a hard time watching Serena Williams crip walk, as opposed she gave her accolades. She applauded her crip walking. If I saw my own child crip walking, I'd be like, no, what are you doing? You are emulating gang activity. You are emulating gang behavior. But she calls that black excellence because Serena Williams is crip walking.
Performance art, if you really looked at it, it was multi-layered. Yes, he had people dressed in red, white, and blue, the colors of the flag, but he also had those people, he was standing in front of them because he's explaining that this is a divided country at this point. He also has them leaning to the side because this country was built on the backs of black people. So it was a very multi-layered. And I'll also say this about Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts proves he belongs in the upper echelon of any elite quarterback conversation. He's proven that. He was the MVP. What I also loved is Autumn Lockwood of the Eagles is the first black female coach to win a Super Bowl. She's an Eagles assistant performance.
I really, really, really want to stop the first black. We do the first black everything. And listen, black people, if you're watching this is, Morgan Freeman once talked about that he didn't believe in Black History Month. He just felt that it's all American history and it should all be embedded into the fiber of American history. And the first black this, the first black that, there's eventually going to be a first black everything. I don't think we have to announce it every time. If we are not doing it as a people, then we don't want to do it. We're going to do the first black, farmer, the first black creator of an electric car, the first black, there are a lot of blacks in the NFL. The NFL is like 65, 70% black. And there's a lot of black coaches. There's black head coaches. Do we really? Okay, so if you want to say the first female coach, I just don't. You get my point. The whole first black thing, can we stop? Can we not do that? Because I don't hear people saying the first Asian, the first Hispanic, the first Indonesian, the first South Asian, Indian, Pakistani, just the first black. It's 2020 goddamn 5. Can we just knock off the first black? Okay. I'm the first black that said 2020 goddamn 5. All right, let her finish.
And then I also loved seeing, my final thing, I'm sorry. I also loved seeing Jalen Hurts, his Jordan Brand dropped an ad celebrating Jalen Hurts.
Okay, so we're not going to do the ad, but yeah, Jalen Hurts had an ad, and so that was the Super Bowl. And I really want to finish this in an hour, so I do want to run through the deportation stuff. Give me a sec. I'll be right back. Welcome back. Be Wise Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Wright. So again, last time we did the first 100 days. I didn't call it that, but we talked about Doge, USAID, a whole bunch of other things going on with Elon Musk, et cetera, et cetera. We talked about the golden age of America. Now I'm going to jump into deportation and where we are, what's going on. And I got some things to say about it. I think we're doing an amazing job. But also, I think the bigger story is the pushback that we're getting by Americans. And that has really, really been a problem. But someone said, I saw someone on Facebook was like, last week the flavor of the month was deportation. Now Donald Trump's moved on. No, he has not moved on. See, here's what's going on in your brains, right? You hear Donald Trump talking about several different issues. This week he's talking about this, that week he's talking about that. What you're not realizing is that he has people, loyal people on the case, that Tom Homan's taking care of this, Mark Rubio's taking care of this, JD Vance is taking care of that, Sue Bondi's taking care of this. He doesn't have to keep talking about it. He can just drop the initiative, drop the mission, move on to the next thing. Because you Americans, we already know that you have very short attention spans. And I know a lot of you like to harp on things for a long period of time. See, that's what the Biden administration did. You harped on things forever. DEI, whatever, was a 4-year initiative. Nope. If that was Donald Trump, he was like, all right, we're stamping out DEI. You'll never hear about it again. I got somebody on the case. Here's what the president was saying about how he feels that Tom Homan's administration is doing.
They're doing an amazing job, I think.
California GOP Chair of Chairs, which is the coolest title ever, and former congressional candidate John Dennis joins me now. John, as of February 3, there were over 5,000 deportations since Trump took office. An internal CBP memo showing migrants are turning back due to tighter border security. Quote, upon learning about the multi-agency force security on the southwest border in social media and through family members in the United States, the migrants decided to return to their country of origin. Seems like deterrence is working, John.
Yeah, so it's working. The work is being done. The administration, Tom Homan's on the case. I knew he was going to be a good border czar from the day he was selected. And I did a podcast on him several weeks ago. Go back and watch it. It's more on Tom Homan, who he is and what he's all about. So definitely go check that out. So he is definitely doing the job. He's doing the work. And how did we get to this point? Like, what happened that all of a sudden we have a real focus on not only the border, not only the wall, but actually getting those who listen? When your basement has a flood, okay, first thing you need to do is find out where it's coming from, cut off the water, and keep the people from coming in, keep the water from coming in, rather, right? Then the next thing you need to do is you need to get the water out. So it's a two-pronged situation. You got to turn the water off. You got to get the water out. This is the same thing with holes in your border. You got to get the people out, and you also have to fix the wall. Donald Trump just trying to figure out, well, who would want this? Why do we have a situation where we're fighting Democrats? We're fighting people in order to get this job done. Listen to what he says.
Why would somebody say that open borders are good, where jails and mental institutions from other countries and gang members right off the streets of the toughest cities in the world are being brought to the United States of America and emptied out into our country? Why would anybody that even likes, you don't have to love our country, you have to like it. Why would anybody that likes our country, the Democrats, allow that to happen? And even now, I watch them on television. They're trying to justify it. You can't justify it.
Yeah, I mean, it just deportation and immigration law should never be the flavor of the month. He's trying to figure out all that work I did when I was in office last time, and I come back and it's a shit show all over again. What the hell is going on? It should be a steady. Listen, you wouldn't have to have mass raids like this if we did this from president to president. The focus is on that. You got a whole group of people like Tom Homan, a border czar. It's just a constant barrage of deportation and securing the border. Then you won't have to go 4 years and come back and go, I got to do this crap all over again. No, you won't have to do that. You got the drug cartels out there trying to stop us on one side. You got the drug cartels trying to stop ICE from bringing people back in. And then you got Americans on this side trying to keep us from deporting. Listen to what Tom Homan said.
No, we're going to take them on. Look, we got the military on the border now. Border Patrol agents are well aware of the threats. There will be violence, and it's something we're prepared to handle. But I warn you to the cartels, if they harm a Border Patrol agent, one of our soldiers, President Trump will not hesitate to take extreme action. I think President Trump will wipe them off the face of the earth, just like he did ISIS and the Caliphate. So I would think the cartels would pay attention. We have a strong president who's not going to take it.
Yeah, so Tom's not messing around. Then you got protesters. You got protesters from other countries protesting the deportation. Like, get out. They're saying, no, we belong here. Why do you belong here? We belong here because you don't own America. This is not your land. You stole this land. Watch it. Oh, and also they're flying Mexican flags.
Hundreds of students taking to the streets in a third day of protests against the Trump administration's immigration policies and mass deportations. The latest protest comes as the LA City Council introduces new legislation to further protect immigrant rights.
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. Okay. You or your parents, whoever, you cross the border illegally. They raise kids here. They're on our social service systems. They're getting our money, using our health care. We say, you got to go. And now you say, Viva Mexico. Like, you left Mexico. Why are you flying in a Mexican flag? If you wanted to be here so bad, or you love America so much that you stole, entry, you should be flying an American flag going, America, we love America, and we want to stay. Instead, you're flying Mexican flags.
Hundreds of students taking to the streets in a third day of protests against the Trump administration's immigration policies and mass deportations. The latest protest comes as the LA City Council introduces new legislation to further protect immigrant rights.
KTLA's Angelique Hockaday is live in downtown LA with more. Angelique.
Yeah, Sharon, Micah, listen, the protests really did last all day. And as you said, these are students, so a much younger crowd. Many of them told us they were sons and daughters of immigrants, and they were very vocal about sharing their frustration about the Trump administration and about ICE. Students wearing backpacks, waving their country's flags, and carrying signs that read, "No one is illegal on stolen land," took to the streets near City Hall Tuesday to protest against the immigration and deportation policies of the Trump administration.
People that don't have the opportunity to speak up, even they take years and years to apply for citizenship.
You're doing it for your dad. What does that mean?
Because he works hard for what he does and to provide for our family. So I'm doing this for my dad and everybody's dad and parents who work hard for us.
I think we're going to City Hall. From John Marshall High to James A. Garfield, thousands could be seen walking out of school to join together.
So what? All right. I'm going to come, pitch a tent, set up on your lawn. If you're out there, look for me. I'll be in a blue hoodie and a MAGA hat. And I'm going to go set up a tent on your lawn, bring my lunch, bring my fire pit, my little, propane grill. And I'm just going to hang out. I'm going to use your electricity. I'm going to throw if you don't mind, I'm going to have to have my little orange extension cord. I'm going to throw it through your window and go, hey, can you plug this in? Great, because I'm going to be living on your lawn. And then when you come out there with your shotgun and you say, get off my lawn, you don't belong here. This is mine. I don't even know where you came from. I'm going to go, whoa, settle down, old man, woman. I belong here. You can't kick me off. And if you kick me off, I'm going to protest. And I'm going to have like a flag from Philadelphia going, Viva Philadelphia. You'd be like, you're in New York, buddy. That doesn't go down here. And I'm going to call my attorney general and I'm going to say, this guy's trying to kick me off his lawn. This is where I live. That's why all these squatters have all these rights and all these, renters have rights over landowners and property owners because we're just a backward society. Doesn't make any sense, but there's a lot of pushback. But there is cooperation from some politicians and not so much in others. They're going through hell in places like Boston, Philadelphia, Chicago. You have all these mayors telling and attorney generals from states saying, we're not going to assist you to deport. Here's what's happening in Boston.
Well, Emily, we've heard officials here in Boston and in Massachusetts say repeatedly they are not going to cooperate with ICE or mass deportation efforts by the Trump administration. And ICE says, well, that's perfectly fine. You don't have to cooperate with us. We're still going to go into your city and we're going to do the job. And we were with ICE Boston yesterday for about 10 hours as we got to watch them firsthand carry out immigration enforcement.
Yeah. So Tom Homan's okay. Go ahead and I don't know. That video keeps popping up. I'm trying to get rid of it. I guess because I find it so funny that these people are protesting with Mexican flags. Anyway, in Boston, yeah, people are pushing back, and Tom Homan said, go ahead, keep it up. Keep it up. There's a video here that probably has nothing to do with what I'm about to tell you, but she's talking about Operation. You just watch it. Hey, check this out.
We also know that he will try to invoke the Alien Enemies Act, which would essentially give the federal government the power, the authority to deport, to detain any non-U.S. citizen that they believe is deemed from an enemy country. We know from Operation Wetback that they literally...
Did she call that Operation Wetback? Let me make sure I heard that right. Let me make sure I heard that right. Hold on.
To deport, to detain any non-U.S. citizen that they believe is deemed from an enemy country. We know from Operation Wetback that they literally packed hundreds of people into...
Isn't that like Operation N-word, or I don't know, Operation C-word for Chinese, or Operation S-word for Hispanics? Operation Wetback? Who's in charge of that? Who is in charge of Operation? I feel ashamed to even repeat the word, and I'm doing a podcast. I'm just looking at what I see on the screen. Did I see that right?
Is deemed from an enemy country. We know from Operation Wetback that they literally packed hundreds of people into trains, planes, ships, and literally just dumped them in Mexico. What Stephen Miller has also told us is that they are actively designing new militarized giant detention centers where they would pack all these families. And one more thing that I think is important, I think a lot of people believe that we're talking about mass deportation plans that would just sort of affect undocumented immigrants. That's not true. There are 22 million people that live in mixed status families.
So the American would be deported too. That's what Tom Homan said.
American families will be deported, will be separated. If we were morally outraged in 2018, when we saw those families being deported and separated at the border, we're about to see that at a mass scale in the interior and with American families.
Let me explain something to you. This is more for men than women. If you're on one of those, I don't know, those dating sites, whatever, and you meet a girl in Venezuela or some South American country or Mexico, and you love her so much, you can't wait to see her, and you help her illegally get across the border, okay? And then you marry her somehow, whether you got married in Mexico or you get married here. Let's say you got married in Mexico. You have children and everything, and 5 to 6 years later, you got your South American or Mexican wife. You have children. I'm sorry to tell you, Tom Homan's not stopping. He will separate your family because you didn't do it the right way. We're going to talk about that in a second, but I just wanted to share that because she was talking about, oh, families will be separated too. Yes, families will be separated because families did it illegal. Now, also what I want to talk about when Caroline Leavitt was on the podium and they were like, how are you going to distinguish the criminals from the non-criminals? And she said, they're all criminals. That went over a lot of people's heads. She's like, no. There are like violent criminals, but the other ones are criminals too because they didn't come into the country the right way. They didn't follow the rule of law. So this little clip right here is what I'm going to talk about. Going through all this convoluted process of trying to separate people you can actually return and people that you can't return. So check this out. I thought this was very interesting.
I see. So do you feel that some of this is just for show, reporting these numbers?
Yeah, I mean, what you see now is hundreds of ICE officers being flown into cities that are being, the blue states or Denver, Chicago, LA, Philly, Philadelphia, and they're sort of surging this sort of arrest capacity. And then those officers take time to get back to their home areas of operation, and then arrests go down. So you're seeing the sort of media splash of it. But we need to continue to delve into who are we arresting, who's being detained, and who is being removed. Nobody is against. Everyone is for sort of going after violent criminals in our community.
Would you say about half the time an arrest will actually turn into a detainment and a removal?
Yeah, I mean, what we've seen in the last few weeks in Aurora and Chicago, like in one Sunday, you'll have 80 arrests. They'll be focused. ICE is focused where they should be on violent criminals. They'll go out and pick up 12 individuals that have violent criminal records, but there'll be collateral arrests. Half of those are released. They're not even detained in ICE or ICE custody, but then they're also, none of them will ever sort of see removal. And that's the sort of sophisticated sort of understanding of the immigration process that folks, I believe, are going to, over time here, over the next few weeks and months, see is the important piece, is getting violent criminals off our streets, and those that have no legal pathway to be here to those being removed.
And let me ask.
So yeah, there's going to be some mistakes. Some mistakes are going to be made. Some of the wrong people are going to be detained. Some wrong people are going to be arrested. It's just, it's hard. It's hard. You can't discount how the work that ICE is doing, the hard work that Tom Homan's doing. It's a process, and it's not going to be perfect. So just understand that it's just, but, for me, I do want to say something, and the officer Tatum, he pointed out something that we're all sympathetic to, that we want America to be the land of opportunity. We want the Statue of Liberty to mean something. And he talks about how when people come here and they get citizenship the right way, everyone applauds them. They go through the ringer. They have to learn our language. They have to take a test, and they get their papers, and they're naturalized, like they're real American citizens. And if they go through all that, I think they'll appreciate being here more. But check out what he says about this.
I don't like the fact that some good people may get deported and have to go back to a place of misery. But at the same time, I do understand and acknowledge, in fairness, the people who did it the right way. If every single person was either a citizen or illegal alien, I probably would have a different approach to this. But there are millions of people who went for had a true asylum claim. There are millions and millions of people who came over here through the system, through the bureaucracy, through the fees and the legal jargon and all kind of stuff, waited 2 years, 3 years, 15 years to get to the United States of America, to hold that right hand up, to take that English test or whatever else they had to do to get here, to swear and to be a citizen with tears in their eyes that they can finally become an American. That's the most beautiful, open opportunity we have for people all around the world to be able to even be a citizen. Most countries, you would never be a citizen there. How then are we overlooking the people who did it right to support and acquiesce to the people who did it completely wrong?
He stated that beautifully. I couldn't have said any better, so I'm not going to say anything more about it. But no, we are empathetic. We are sympathetic to those people who want to be here. I got a really, really good friend of mine. He's a bartender. And he met a girl online. They fell in love. She lives in Colombia. They had a kid. And for the last 2.5 years, he's been trying to get her here. He loves Trump. He said, Chris, I just have to do it the right way. He said, so I go back and forth to Colombia to see my daughter until we can get all the proper paperwork in place to get my wife here. And kudos to him. Kudos to her. Congratulations. I'm just happy that I'll be very happy when she's here. He's a really good guy. And anyway, so we talked about all the pushback from New York and all these attorney generals and these governors, these mayors that are standing in the way. And they need to be held accountable. They really need to be held accountable. Because if you or I harbored a criminal, no one would take pity on us. Roll this clip with Officer Tatum. Here we go.
I don't like the fact that some good people may get deported and have to go back to a place.
Wrong one. I'm sorry.
I need it to be explained. Maybe I can get her on the show. Explain to me, when you sue, what is that going to do? Is Brandon Johnson ever going to be held accountable? Is some of these Democrats ever going to be held accountable? Is there a particular law in place where someone could be charged as a mayor, and maybe they have I forget what it's called, immunity? That's what it is. Maybe they have immunity. But is there a way that you could charge a city leader with aiding and abetting illegal aliens? Because you know they're in the city and you're harboring them, you're aiding them to come, and then you're not acquiescing to the laws of the land. And what if I did that as a private citizen? I go to prison. Just so y'all know, as a private citizen, if I knew that illegals were in an area and I solicit them to come to my house, and then while they're at my house, I'm not letting police come in and get them. I'm actively blocking while I know that they're illegal aliens. That's a crime. How then does a mayor? I hope I hadn't been calling Johnson the governor, but the mayor. How is it that he can get away with that without going to jail? Let's go to the Tom Homan clip, because I want to hear what Tom Homan has to say about the impending ICE operations. Roll the clip.
President Trump's Department of Justice is now suing Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker and Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson for, quote, with federal immigration enforcement. This comes shortly after Attorney General Pam Bondi's day one directive to enforce Trump's immigration crackdown. And it includes a complete pause of all federal funding for sanctuary cities that will not work with ICE. So we'll see if those sanctuary leaders start changing their tune from this message.
We will stand up for anybody who is standing up for the law.
If it's contrary to our values, we will fight to the death.
We're going to defend the people of this city.
Every tool in the toolbox has got to be used to protect our citizens, to protect our residents, and protect our states, and certainly to hold the line on democracy and the rule of law.
We're not going to be bullied or blackmailed out of our values in Denver.
So they're going to break the law. Interesting. Because they have bigger hearts? Is that how that works? Last hour on the Faulkner Focus, I spoke with Trump's border czar, Tom Homan.
For any mayor or governor who doesn't want public safety threats removed from the communities, I find it hard to believe that. But we're going to do it, with or without them. If they're not going to help, get out of the way. But don't cross that line. Do not impede our operations. Do not knowingly conceal or harbor an illegal alien, because we will seek prosecution. We're going to do what the President promised American people. We're going to make our communities safer by targeting those who are in the country illegally that have criminal record or a public safety threat. That's what we're doing.
And should we be doing anything different? No. I don't even know how this is a real thing. Do I have compassion for people who are illegally in this country that's looking for a better opportunity? Yes. I hope the best for them. I really do hope that they find the life that they want to live.
Yeah. Tom's not effing around. But these leaders, these city leaders, state leaders, attorney generals, they got to be held accountable. They got to be held accountable. And that's how we're going to end the show, because it happened today. I was just about to start my podcast and I got breaking news. And Pam Bondi came on.
We're here today because we have filed charges against the state of New York. We have filed charges against Kathy Hochul. We have filed charges against Letitia James and Mark Schroeder, who is with DMV. This is a new DOJ, and we are taking steps to protect Americans, American citizens, and angel moms, like the mom standing right behind me, who you're going to hear from in a moment. New York has chosen to prioritize illegal aliens over American citizens. It stops today. As you know, we sued Illinois, and New York didn't listen. So now you're next.
You're next. So Pam, she went on to talk about how we are harmed. So, the angel mom, she's going to speak to. Go back and watch. I'm sure it'll be on YouTube. Actually, it is on YouTube. I pulled it from YouTube, but you'll get to listen to the angel mom talk, Pam Bondi talk more about it. But I am just so excited. That's why we put Pam Bondi in place, because she's like, you know what? We have a new Justice Department and the madness ends now. So before I leave you, I'm going to leave you with something funny, something real but funny. This is not a joke. It was actually Donald Trump, because we're talking about deportations, right? Well, Prince Harry, Prince Harry doesn't really have a land, okay? He left England all pissed off at the Queen, his grandmom, or whatever she is to him. What is she? Mother-in-law? I don't know. Anyway, so he left the Queen and took Meghan Markle back to the United States. And I don't even know if he has an American citizenship. I think he's trying to get one. Then they paraded out there in front of the fire, California fires, and kissed babies or kissed people and babies, however you say it. And Donald Trump said, you are very mean to the Queen. Maybe you should go back. But check this out. This is kind of hilarious. Where's that clip? Come on, Harry. Come on, Harry. I know you're around here somewhere. Oh, here we go.
It all goes back to Harry's memoir, Spare, in which, amongst the bombshells he dropped, was the admission he'd taken drugs. Now, compared to some of the other things Harry said, that perhaps wasn't the most revelatory, but it did start this campaign by a US-based think tank who questioned how Harry had been allowed into the US if he'd made this admission. They were questioning, had he lied on his paperwork? Was he given favourable treatment, special dispensation? Anyway, that legal case has been rumbling on for 2 years, but it seems the Duke of Sussex has been given this rather unexpected lifeline by Donald Trump, who, despite having previously said if he was to be re-elected, he would not protect Prince Harry because he had behaved badly. He had betrayed the Queen, he said. But it seems he's done this about turn, because in an interview this weekend with the New York Post, Trump, when asked if he'd intervene in Harry's case, had this to say. He said, "I don't want to do that. I'll leave him alone. He's got enough problems with his wife. She's terrible." So...
First of all, that is the ultimate flex. Like, you know what? I was going to punish you, but you're being punished enough because your wife is terrible. You gotta love Donald Trump. You gotta. Oh my God! If you guys aren't laughing, hey, what Larry the Cable Guy said, he's like, "I don't care who you are. That there is funny." Oh God! I was going to punish you, but your wife's terrible. I'm going to leave you alone. All right, guys. I'm sorry I went over an hour, but there was just so much. And next week I'll have another something from the 100 days. We'll probably talk about Pam Bondi because she's a baller right now. She's bossing. So other than that, you guys take care. Go back and watch that clip of that reporter's accent with the saying, "Your wife is terrible." I gotta go. I'll see y'all later.